He's just saying that the Americans are going after Iranian nukes in response to a question which was very specific. What was the evidence which made United States launch Epic Fury? No word on that evidence. And the second, breaking, more relevant to us, which is that he has admitted that an American submarine, a US Navy submarine, took down an Iranian warship in Indian Ocean waters.
Right, Pete said confirming US attacking the Iran warship, that it was a submarine attack. American submarine attacked the Iranian ship, and that's the confirmation coming in from the US War Secretary himself.
Well, in fact, let me just quickly take you through some of the details emerging on your screens. In fact, this image that you have of the frigate IRIS Dena, in fact, had reached Visakhapatnam port on 16th of February and had sailed out after the Milan exercise that was carried out, docked along with the warships from Australia, Japan, South Korea, and in fact even the United States of America. Now, this is what we know so far in terms of the sequence of events. It was around 5 o'clock in the morning is when IRIS Dena had basically issued a distress call from approximately, that was 40 nautical miles off the Sri Lankan coast. In fact, 180 crew members were part of this particular frigate. In fact, Sri Lanka has now confirmed that the Moj-class frigate was already sinking when they had reached. In fact, on your screens right now, this was the video that came in on 16th of February when IRIS Dena had reached Visakhapatnam. I'll just go back to what we know so far in terms of the developments that have taken place. In fact, Sri Lanka's foreign minister has made a statement before the parliament where they've said that 2 Navy vessels they were basically there and an aircraft was essentially deployed. So this is part of the rescue operation that was carried out. Now, as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, Abhishek, of course, they maintain that they had no information of this particular warship crossing the Sri Lankan coast. That's what they say. For the longest time, of course, Sri Lanka has also been caught off guard because given the fact that they're not very sure how exactly would they respond, because when we dialed the Sri Lankan Navy's media director early this afternoon, all that he had to say is that a detailed investigation would be carried out. Now you have Pete Hegseth confirming, and once again a claim that the Americans are making that this is after World War II, that you have for the first time a submarine successful hit that has taken place, Abhishek.
Well, yes, I mean, it's natural the Sri Lankans would not know. They do not have the wherewithal to know whether something like this can happen. But interesting that the minutiae with which the Americans are really tracking the whole region to make sure that any Iranian warship is not left. Remember, they have downed about 20 of Iranian naval warships is the claim that was made by the general at Pentagon just a while back. And this seems to be another one, which means that for whatever it was, the Iranian Navy stands completely dismantled and decimated is what I would say.
This is the bigger concern right now, is that this has basically reached the Indian Ocean region.
Yeah, that's amazing.
4,000 kilometers from the Persian Gulf, and you have United States of America widening this entire conflict. And that is the reason why when we first reported this news basically that came in, it's of great significance here, because not just the fact that Iranian ships are now being targeted by the United States of America and its allies, but the fact of the matter is that this has basically reached the Indian Ocean region. And the very fact that the message perhaps that the United States of America wants to send across, that none of Iranian assets are essentially safe right now. Let me also quickly go across to my colleague Sharda, who's also been in touch with local assets in Sri Lanka to get a sense of what's really happening on the ground. Sharda, any further details that you're picking up? Because I believe that they have been able to rescue a few of the sailors. They've been taken to a nearby hospital where they're being given further treatment. Any further details that you're picking up from the authorities in Sri Lanka?
Well, the Sri Lankan Navy commandment giving us an official quote said that only after reaching the Navy ship that was broken down is when they realized it was Iranian citizens in it, and there were no Sri Lankan citizens. But being in the international borders, it did not come under the Sri Lanka's boundaries. But being the only country that was near to them, they saved and they tried to rescue whoever was left. And till now, 101 is still missing. The Navy reported that 101 people from the ship are still missing, and 78 are now found to be Iranian citizens, and 32 were gravely injured when they found them in the ship that was completely destroyed, and have taken them to the hospital at the south of the Sri Lankan island, and the treatment is underway. They also said that the investigation is underway. What the Sri Lankan Navy told us was only after an inquiry and a complete investigation where they confirmed that the US submarine hit the Iranian ship, and that they would not give an official word on the submarine or the attack that was taken place near their borders until then. And now, apart from the 32 citizens, the rest are being rescued, and there's a delay in the rescue process by the Sri Lankan Navy because there's oil spill after the ship was completely destroyed. So the Navy is taking its time to make sure that nobody is left behind, because the debris is also there, and the people who had inside the water are still not able to get to the top, and people are going from the Navy are going underwater in search of these people as well, is what the Sri Lankan Navy officially told us. It's expected the rescue operations will be completed only tomorrow as per the Navy, because apart from the weather and the climate, with the time being almost night time, they're not able to find out if people are still left on that ship or not, Shivan.
All right, Sri Lankan Navy is still trying to make 2 and 2 4 of what has happened right there inside their waters. Shravan, of course, it's too close for comfort so far as India is concerned, but the fact of the matter is these are international waters, not Indian exclusive economic zone. All right, Iran is struggling to find its next supreme leader. Ayatollah Khamenei made it clear that he does not want his son Mujtaba to take over, but it seems the IRGC still wants him, and the Assembly of Experts is struggling to come to a conclusion. Take a look.
Mujtaba Khamenei, son of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has declared himself as Iran's new supreme leader following the death of his father. This comes as the US and Israel strikes against Iran have turned West Asia into a war zone. Iran's counterattacks have intensified in the region, with several US military bases targeted. Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz and halted the transit of ships in the region. France, UK and Greece have joined the war by sending choppers, drones and anti-missile systems. The death of Ayatollah Khamenei has thrown a leadership vacuum. Filling the vacuum, Mujtaba has now declared himself as the new supreme leader. Despite his lack of political experience, he wields strong influence over the IRGC. Mujtaba was first believed to have been killed among the top 40 Iranian leaders during the Saturday strike, but he survived and is now ready to lead Iran. He now takes charge of a country that has strongly vowed to avenge his father.
Well, in fact, the fallout from the US-Israel confrontation that we've essentially seen has had a wider military conflict. Now, the situation as far as Pakistan is concerned, with the protests essentially taking place outside a US consulate, with this morning, in fact, you've had the US State Department essentially ordering that non-essential government officials of the United States of America are to leave from the consulates in Karachi and Islamabad. In fact, Pakistan has also been caught in the fix as to where exactly do they really stand as far as this war is concerned.